Real-life stories narrated from the experiences of R2K, The Haunting Legacy. My father began recounting his story with a distant look in his eyes, as if the memories were resurfacing after being buried deep for years. Before he dove into the eerie experience that still haunted him, he painted a vivid picture of the house as it once was. A grand mansion with 36 rooms, including the kitchen, bathrooms, and even separate quarters for animals. The house was old, with cracks in the walls that hinted at its age, but its foundations and pillars were strong, enduring the passage of time. This house, my father said, was more than just a home. It was a bustling estate, filled with life and activity. He was the youngest of 8 siblings, 5 brothers and 3 sisters, with only one younger than him. My grandfather, the patriarch of the family, was the second richest man in the village. The household was always lively, with at least 10 workers employed to tend the orchards, care for the animals, and maintain the vast property. On any given day, the house was filled with the sounds of children playing, workers bustling about, and the constant hum of life. As my father spoke, I found myself imagining the vibrant, almost idyllic scenes he described. It was a stark contrast to how the house felt now, quiet with only 2 families residing within its walls. My uncle's family lived in one part of the house, while we lived in another. But a rift had formed between us, a clear boundary that neither side dared to cross. We hadn't spoken to them in years. That part of the story, too, would eventually be told, as it was all connected. My father then shifted to the experience that had left a lasting mark on him. He spoke of an old man who had worked for the family. This man was a strong, imposing figure, even in his advanced age. My father had once seen him carry a large log of wood, something that usually required 2 or 3 men. This old man had been a lifelong servant, working for the family out of gratitude for a favor my grandfather had done for his father. He was the only person still living who had known my great-grandfather, who had died young, a fact that was common knowledge in the village. The old man had become a sort of mentor to my father. Whenever he wasn't playing games with his cousins, my father would sit and listen to the old man's stories. Tales of my grandfather's childhood, funny anecdotes about my father's parents, and the mischief of his siblings. But one day, the conversation took a darker turn. My father couldn't recall how the topic came up, but they began discussing jinns. In the Muslim world, jinns are considered to be supernatural beings existing alongside humans but in a different realm. They possess powers that can influence humans, and in Muslim households the word ghost is often synonymous with jinn. My father was skeptical. He had never seen a jinn, and he was quick to dismiss such tales as mere superstition. But the old man was insistent. He had seen them, he said, but had always chosen to ignore them. He then went on to reveal something even more disturbing. Black magic had entered the house many years ago, brought by an outsider who had married into the family. This dark force, the old man claimed, had killed the original heir of the house. Before my father could ask more, his mother called him to lunch. The old man assured him they could continue the conversation afterward and promised he wouldn't move from where he sat. My father hurried to the dining room, eager to finish his meal and return to the old man. As he sat down, he couldn't help but ask his mother, "Are jinns real?" The question seemed to startle her. She looked at him with a mix of concern and curiosity. "Where did you hear that? Why are you suddenly asking about jinns?" she inquired. My father, not wanting to get the old man into trouble, quickly lied, saying he had overheard someone talking about it in the attic. After quickly finishing his meal, my father ran back to find the old man. But when he returned to the spot where they had been talking, the old man was gone. He searched for him for about 10 minutes but couldn't find him anywhere. Disappointed but determined to hear the rest of the story, he decided to let it go, assuming the old man was somewhere in the house and would return later. As the evening fell, the house was lit by kerosene lamps. My father was talking to his brother when their mother entered the room and asked, "Did you see the old man today?" He replied, "Yes, I saw him near the orchard this morning." His mother's face went pale. "Are you sure?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Yes, I even spoke to him," my father insisted. The room fell silent. His brothers and sisters exchanged nervous looks. and his aunt said firmly, "He must be mistaken. That old man passed away this morning. He died in his sleep. His younger brother came by some time ago to inform us." My father felt his legs go weak. He could feel the blood draining from his face as the reality of what he had just heard sank in. He stammered, trying to explain that it was the old man who had told him about the Jinns, that it had to have been him. But his mother quickly reassured him, saying that the old man must have gone home and passed away later in the day. But deep down, my father knew something was wrong. The old man had been different that morning, serious, almost somber. There had been no warmth in his smile, no light in his eyes. My father realized that what he had experienced wasn't just a casual conversation. It was something more. A final visit. It dawned on him that the old man had come to him one last time, sharing his final story. A story of Jinns and dark secrets that would continue to haunt our family. And in doing so, he had given my father his first encounter with the paranormal.